It's interesting to have discussions like this because, 2023, regardless of which artist you prefer, which one you think is overrated, which one you think is more talented, 2023 was the year for Taylor Swift and Beyonce. They pretty much killed it on their, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Renaissance and it was the Eras Tour. Both did incredible numbers, and if I remember correctly, both of them also had theatrical releases of their tour. Now, Shannon Sharpe, and I think this is from a podcast he does with another person from the athletic, world. But I'm only just, getting into the Club Shay Shay thing from the Cat Williams interview. So I really don't know much about what else Shannon Sharpe does aside from that particular podcast, but he does have another show. But essentially, if I'm not mistaken, last night, it was the game that decided the final two teams of the Super Bowl. And it just so happens that Taylor Swift's boyfriend, look, I don't really follow sports like that, but basically his team is going to the Super Bowl. And now the conversations are like, oh, wow, is the camera going to be on Swift most of the Super Bowl? And I remember talking with a friend last night. I said, you know what, man? I have no doubt in my mind that this year's Super Bowl might be the most watched, highest rated Super Bowl of all time, simply because Taylor Swift is going to be there. And then the conversation came up when Shannon said that there's nobody who can really move the needle for the NFL the way Taylor Swift does. And then the other person on the podcast says Beyonce, and Shannon disagrees. And I got to admit, even though Beyonce is huge, which I am not denying the icon, the success, and the impact that Beyonce has in the industry. But when you look at the dang numbers, she ain't pulling in Taylor Swift numbers. The Renaissance tour did about $580 million. It generated that much. Taylor doubled, if not more, with over $1 billion. She hit box office records with the pre-ticket sales of the Eras film. And I know it's on streaming now. I don't even know what that looks like. But, folks, Taylor Swift, I get it. People are sick of her. I mean, I'm a fan my dang self, but even I have to admit, okay, I'm getting a little too tired. Hey, happy she found somebody, but dang, it's like every day. But it's just, you cannot deny the impact. And I talked with a friend of mine, an older white guy. We used to work at the call center together. He has a niece who's a Taylor Swift fan. And when we were working at the call center, Liberty University, diverse, but, mostly white people we worked with. And a lot of the white girls in the office were Taylor Swift fans. So, we would talk about it sometimes, about the frenziness of the Swift effect. Whereas, me and most of the other guys, we would talk about, just other stuff, mainly like the CW, Arrowverse, and MCU films and whatnot. But when it comes to Taylor Swift, the impact is just, despite Beyonce as being as big as she is, Taylor Swift is bigger. I know it's crazy because usually it's nobody can, be compared to Michael Jackson, which is true. But when you're looking at, I think this argument holds more weight because these two artists are still alive. Beyonce, I don't want to say she's past her prime, but she isn't. She's almost like in the twilight era of her career. She can still sell out, which she obviously did. She could still, set numbers with her records. But Taylor Swift, I mean, both artists have incredible catalogs where neither one of them needs to put out another album for the rest of their career, let alone the rest of their lives. They could just continue for the rest of their career doing tours or whatnot from all their greatest hits, which are just so many. But Taylor Swift, to me, what really solidified her as that chick, when she re-recorded most of, not all of them yet, I'm pretty sure she's almost done, but most of her old albums with Big Machine Records due to the whole not being able to buy her master situation. And each release broke records on Spotify and whatnot. That ought to tell you right there that regardless as to who you think is more talented, oh, Taylor Swift isn't the entertainer that Beyonce is and whatnot. Say what you want to. I don't like it. You might not like Taylor Swift. You might not like her music. You might not like her personal life always being in front of your face because it's on TV, it's in the paper, it's on your phone screen or computer screen. But obviously, there are far more people who like Swift than those who don't like her, because look at the dang numbers. Don't get me wrong. If Beyonce showed up to the Super Bowl or something, with because isn't Jay-Z like, part owner of an NFL? He's affiliated somehow. He has like control over like Super Bowl halftime shows and stuff like that. And fill me in the comments if you know more about the situation. I do exactly what Jay-Z's role is, but I know it's something. If, Beyonce showed up and was in the crowd with Jay-Z, yeah, there'll be people panning over them. But I think the difference between Beyonce and Taylor Swift is that Taylor Swift is more of a public icon, whereas Beyonce is more secluded, Like whenever Beyonce comes out with like, a clothing line or, those boxes or something like that where fans can buy them, that feels more like an exclusive. It's almost like you got to be part of a specific club or niche to be in the Beyonce beehive, if you will. Where with Taylor Swift, it's almost like damn near anybody can be a fan, Like I was in college. I mean, honestly, I've been a fan since high school. What was it? 2006. Our Song, like her first hit. I was a fan, but when I went to Liberty, of course, a lot of white people, they love Taylor Swift. And well, you kind of fall into the group, white, black, whatever. It's like you hear it so much. I mean, 1989 came out right when I was graduating from master's degree and started my job at the call center. What album came out before that? It wasn't Reputation. Reputation was when I started to fall off. I didn't care for that album. What was the song? We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together? Red. That's the album. That album just blew up because talent shows, people were singing the songs and whatnot. And Beyonce, it just feels like, yeah, she doesn't have the same level, because I think it's a difference between obviously the white audience and black audiences, because when from my perspective, when you look at black people, it's almost like the New Edition and like New Kids on the Block, because I know in many interviews, New Edition members have talked about this, how like when it comes to, back in the day when New Kids on the Block first came out and, like what Michael Bivins said, they came out with the t-shirts and the baby dolls and all. Why ain't we have any of that? And you look at the audiences, white audiences, for the most part, spend more money than black audiences at, the concert crowds, because, when you look at the ticket sales, they talked about how, yeah, the New Kids on the Block tickets would be higher than New Edition sometimes. But at the same time, fans, because we went to a couple of those concerts and the fans would be buying like, 3 or 4 t-shirts and all these different hats and buttons. But, with the black audience, it's a little bit tougher because, you got to get the tickets, then you got to find babysitters and whatnot. And, instead of 4 t-shirts or 5 t-shirts, a shirt, like let's say if each member of New Edition had like a t-shirt or a poster or whatever, they might be only able to buy 1 or 2 because it's a little bit tougher. But when you have that white man, why do you think so many people are called like, oh, you're a sellout because you cater to like the white audience rather than the black fan base? Because that's where the mainstream white audience is, and that's where more money is. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's facts. But Taylor Swift, just has that it factor. And I am not saying Beyonce doesn't have that it factor, but it's just a simple matter of the numbers. Like black people, I love us, but we just got to look at the facts. It's like in the Taraji P. Henson video I did, where a lot of people are like, man, Taraji, she's up there. She ought to be getting like, the Meryl Streep, money and whatnot. And like Viola Davis, she ought to be, up there with like the top brass in the industry making the most money. But it's like, even though black people, we cherish our celebrities and whatnot, at the end of the day, you have to realize not all non-black people look at Beyonce, Taraji P. Henson, Angela Bassett, um, you know, and the list goes on. I'm drawing a blank right now. It's just like they don't look at black audience, celebrities the same way they look at white ones, because white ones are more marketable. That's how they think. But at the end of the day, put your feelings aside and look at the facts. Look at the facts. The numbers don't lie. Both are incredible. Both have broken so many records. And that's why I say, like, don't compare them to Michael Jackson, because Taylor Swift, Beyonce, they've both paved their own lanes. Now, another thing you could talk about is how Beyonce became a billionaire, and, she linked up with Jay-Z and they've built an empire together, which is fantastic. But Taylor Swift has been doing it solo. Just think of it from that perspective, which one do you find more impressive? But with that being said, that's all I had to say. I don't think that Beyonce could move the needle the way Taylor Swift does. She can make an impact, but Taylor Swift is just next level. And I don't think we're going to be done hearing about Taylor Swift anytime soon, especially with the Super Bowl coming up. But hey, let me know what team you're rooting for in the Super Bowl. How do you feel about the conversation Shannon Sharpe was having? Do you agree with him? Do you disagree with him? Let's talk about it in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.